Part 1. Get out of the gap. Chapter 1. Embrace the freedom of wants. Avoid the attachment of needs. You and you alone are the person who should take the measure of your own success. I do not try to be better than anyone else. I only try to be better than myself. Dan Jansen. Dan Jansen is considered by many to be the best speed skater to ever live. By the young age of 16, he competed and very nearly won a medal at the 1984 Winter Olympics. Over the following decade, it became clear to anyone who followed speed skating that Jansen was the most talented skater on the planet. But he seemed to be jinxed. In his biggest races, he would start out at world record-breaking speeds, but then something always seemed to happen that stopped him from winning. Little things, fluke things. It was widely believed that he deserved to be an Olympic medalist. During the 1994 Olympics, Jansen had his final realistic shot at winning an Olympic medal. In his strongest event, the 500 meter, he finished 8th and was heartbroken. It didn't look like he was ever going to get his Olympic medal after all. He had one final event, the 1,000 meter, which he'd previously considered his weakest event. Before the race, Jansen decided to compete with a completely different mindset. Rather than being in the gap and thinking about the medal he needed in order to feel successful and remembering all the races he should have won but didn't, he decided instead to be in the gain and focus on everything great in his life. He thought about the coaches who poured endless energy and care into him, his family who loved him, his friends who supported him, all of the amazing experiences and blessings he had. The fact that he had become one of the best speed skaters of all time. He even thought about his love for skating itself and how much skating had done for him as a person. He found himself in tears and overwhelmed by just how much he'd gained throughout his life and as a skater. With this reflection, he was able to comprehend how fortunate he was to even be in this situation at all. He was skating in the Olympics. By appreciating the gains in his life, Jansen was deeply humbled. He decided his final Olympic event would be an expression of gratitude, a way of saying thank you and goodbye to the sport, the people, and the experiences he loved so much. At that point, it really didn't matter if he won or lost. He was overcome with joy and gratitude, and decided to skate with all of the gains in his life as his motivation. Throughout the race, he was beaming a huge smile. He later said it was the happiest he'd ever skated in his whole life. That run broke a world record and was one of the most emotional wins in Olympic history. Jansen skated near flawlessly and won the gold. He won his only Olympic medal in this, his final event. It was the first race he'd ever skated in the gain instead of the gap. Happiness is not something you pursue. Happiness is not somewhere in the future. Decades of scientific research is clear on this point. Happiness is where you start, not where you finish. Take, for example, the broaden and build theory of psychology first introduced by Dr. Barbara L. Fredrickson, which shows that positive emotions are the starting point of learning, growth, and high performance. Positive emotions broaden your options of thinking and acting. As an example, research shows that people in high-stakes situations make the best choices when in a state of gratitude. They can see more clearly the best option before them. On the flip side, negative emotions narrow your options, leaving you with only a few rigid ways of handling a given situation. With a broadened mindset, you can then build new resources that you can use now or in the future, whether that be fresh perspectives, increased emotional flexibility, new strategies, or new relationships. Positive emotions facilitate higher performance, which increases confidence and filters back more positive emotions. It's a virtuous cycle. Dan Jansen tapped into the broaden and build phenomenon as he shifted from the gap to the gain. By focusing on the gains in his life, he immediately felt better about his life. In fact, he started to feel overwhelmed with joy and gratitude. These positive emotions made him more flexible and creative during his race. He raced with joy, and he raced better than he ever had before.